What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Conversation Station. This episode, I'm going to be showing off 4 of my Vigilante comics that I just got. Created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. Adrian Chase first appeared in the New Teen Titans number 23 in September of 1982. He debuted as the Vigilante in the New Teen Titans annual number 2 in August of 1983. Kupperberg later took over writing the series after issue 21, and he scripted it until the conclusion with issue number 50. I've been trying to get my hands on some Vigilante and Peacemaker comics, but I haven't been able to find any Peacemaker comics so far, even at the both Goodwill and the comic book store. So I was really surprised and excited to find these ones in a 2-pack.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The first one I got is Vigilante number 2, and it's cover dated for January of 1984. This one has like the non-boxed date and price on it. Some of the other ones have the date kind of boxed, like this one right here. So I just think it's kind of cool the different ways that they do it, depending on which year it was put out in. I have one behind me that's the Omega Men, and it's the same way. It's the same style of like date. I know it's not really important. I just think it's kind of cool. Obviously, being number 2, this opens like super early in his Vigilante career, and the cover opens with him still clearly facing the struggles of being a vigilante while also being a man within the law. He does try to go about it the right way. I mean, he's a district attorney, and even in the beginning, he's trying so hard to get this guy convicted just based on these horrible, horrible crimes that this guy's convicted of. And, you know, even Adrian Chase just won't let up on him. He really, you know, believes this guy did it. And we get to see the strained relationship between Adrian and his father.
Northwest around 5. Dad's not gay here.
His father clearly is a lawyer who defends the criminals and makes quite a bit more money doing it. And he talks about how Adrian should, you know, work for him and work in his law firm. Adrian just sees what he does as the right thing to do because, you know, I'm putting criminals and bad guys away, and, you know, you're defending them, and you don't even ask whether or not whether or not they're right or whether or not they're guilty. And, you know, the dad just gives the typical answer of, like, it doesn't matter if they're guilty, they pay us. We pay to make sure that they're not guilty and seen as not guilty. But obviously he's just not okay with that. And he links up with 2 of his friends, and that's how he gets into being vigilante. Some really fantastic artwork definitely from these 4 books that I was able to get. About this book is they do show him fighting a lot, you know, a good amount of books obviously show plenty of action, but this one gets straight to it, and he gets into a lot of brawls, especially into, you know, because he doesn't have superpowers a lot, you know, during these fights. This is how he's really early into his career, and he's had to, you know, train his body and make sure he's able to fight and make sure he's able to keep up with these people, because he really doesn't know what he's doing. He's just kind of, you know, figuring it out as he goes and trying to learn more, and he's learning with each and every mistake that he's making, obviously. But he's getting really good. I mean, he's able to, you know, hold his own against people that seem a lot bigger than him. Bit of a spoiler alert, but Adrian Chase goes after the man that he was going after in court because the guy got off. And here we have an amazing shot with Vigilante's head in the background, with Vigilante just kind of beating the guy, trying to get the answer that he wants out of him, because the guy absolutely will not admit that he did it. And by the end of it, Vigilante, spoiler alert, figures out that he actually didn't do it. He's innocent of the crime that Vigilante is currently beating him for. With Vigilante, you know, obviously looking around at the destruction and seeing what he's done, and kind of having that moment of, you know, what am I doing? Am I any better than these, you know, people that I'm going to attack? Because I basically just broke into a guy's house, destroyed his home, and attacked his family. Leading to him, obviously, questioning whether or not he should even be the Vigilante, which is completely understandable. And that's definitely a big contrast between this Vigilante and the one that we see in Peacemaker.
What? Who are you guys? No. You're a chipmunk in my world.
He clearly has no quarrels about being Vigilante. We got Vigilante number 11. Some really awesome artwork on the cover. Deals with Vigilante losing the guy who makes all his tech and gadgets, named JJ, who is a good friend of his. And in number 2, we actually see, you know, JJ talking and being kind of his moral compass and his, you know, just a good friend, and trying to talk him into being Vigilante and reminding him of the good that he's doing. In this, he's lost JJ, so he's on a mission to find out who and why. And in the very beginning, we get a shot of Vigilantes threatening to shoot a guy in the back of a car. Really, just really opens up to show the difference that he is versus, probably anybody else, except for maybe, Peacemaker. Eventually, he finds out the person who killed or had his friend killed was a villain named the Controller, a guy who's kind of attached to this like machine wheelchair who does exactly what his name says, and he just kind of uses his brain to control people. You just get awesome scenes of Vigilante doing everything he can to get into this Controller's compound. And we get some really great artwork of him, like, shooting his grappling hook and just scaling that wall. Really love these like long form panels. Those are just some of my favorite. He also tricked some guy just by leaving a little dollar bill right there, and was able to take him out just with that, so that was pretty cool. Since he doesn't have superpowers, most of his action scenes just involve him either, kicking ass or getting his ass kicked. Vigilante gets inside, to which he's greeted by just a ridiculous amount of guards, and he's able to fight his way through, and it just gives us some really, really awesome, impressive artwork. As he's fighting through this house, he actually comes into contact with an old foe called the Exterminator. And he's actually surprised that this person's here because he's the person who shot the Exterminator. But after a while, he kicks off the Exterminator's head, revealing that it's just a robot. So this Controller, has obviously rebuilt one of Vigilante's enemies into a robot just to mess with his head. After defeating him, he is led into a room that ends up shrinking from the sides, and, out pops, of course, saw blades, leading him to have to smash a panel and climb up and have to figure out a way out. And he's able to climb through the roof and just basically, make his way out of there. By the end of it, he's in his, fight with the Controller, and the Controller, reveals to him his diabolical plan, and we get that great piece from the cover. An amazing shot right there. But it's just a fantastic story all the way around, honestly, and with some really, just great storyline work. By the end of this one, Adrian is considering, becoming a judge, and he even says, Judge Adrian sounds cool to me. Next up, we got Vigilante number 31, and this is the point when Paul Kupperberg started to get involved. Really great cover of Vigilante standing over a guy about to shoot him. Awesome reflection in the puddle. This one we see Vigilante actually working with a small group of criminals to take down another group of criminals to prevent a giant war amongst a bunch of different factions of criminal networks. Next up, we got Vigilante number 32 by Paul Kupperberg, Todd Smith, and Rick Magyar. This follows the story of the previous one, and we find Vigilante in the alleyway cornered by some police officers after helping stop a giant fight between a bunch of criminal organizations. After being conflicted about being Vigilante, Adrian Chase has given it up and handed over the mantle to Dave Winston, who is now carrying out this, carrying out these acts and trying to be the Vigilante, since Adrian Chase can't. But Adrian Chase still tells him what to do and, has some sort of say in what he's doing. We get a really awesome shot of him pulling off the mask with the sweat right under it. And here we see Vigilante still working with those criminals from before, trying to get his hands on somebody for information, and the criminals suggesting that they just kill him right away. And Vigilante saying, no, we're not going to handle it that way. And while, they're still in a deal, the criminal is still saying, yeah, once this deal's up and, we're done helping each other, I'm definitely coming back to get you. And I will remember that. And as Vigilante is interrogating this guy, the guy is super scared, saying, hey, I won't talk. If I talk, the guy's going to know. And as Vigilante's holding him straight up to the car, he ends up getting, a nice little gift right through the head. So right in Vigilante's arms, leaving him, obviously extremely stunned, leading to just absolutely awesome artwork. And that leads Chase to have to obviously run out of the parking garage and figure out a way out, leading to some really cool running and action scenes. And we get an awesome shot of Adrian Chase at a bridge, just kind of contemplating his life and being the Vigilante, with an awesome Vigilante shadow in the background. At the very end, we get a argument between a police chief and a detective that has been following Vigilante this entire time, leading to the introduction of this character right here. His name is Captain Arthur Hall, and he says that he's back from medical leave, and he's assigned from the commissioner's office and here to head up the new Vigilante squad. And being that that's the note they end on, I assume he's a pretty important character. I'll definitely have to look him up because I'm not exactly sure who that is, but I will be looking it up after this. We got a cool ad for the new Teen Titans which I do have a couple of those comics. So, and you know, obviously since Vigilante premiered in the New Teen Titans, that kind of actually makes sense. But these are really good. I would love to get the rest of the storyline, obviously. The artwork is amazing. If you have a chance to get your hands on any Vigilante comics, I would absolutely recommend it. Artwork and story is just fantastic. I really do appreciate any time you spend watching my show. Thank you, and I hope to see you again.